Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. And yeah, thank you all my members, all my patrons. Remember to subscribe, be a member or a patron if you want to help the channel. I am working on a way of dealing with donates if you want to donate as well. So keep an eye out with PayPal. And if you are Brazilian, check the link in the description. We have a Pix code for you. So yeah. So let's get into it. So yeah, today we're going to talk a little bit about the MiG-29, okay? It is kind of confirmed that the MiG-29 is coming. It was already kind of confirmed that the MiG-29 was coming for a long time because, as I said yesterday on the video of the kind of the leak that the MiG-29 is coming, check it out if you want to. It's just that it was already confirmed. I mean, the MLD was never going to be the last aircraft that was added to the Soviet tech tree. And the, logical next step is the MiG-29. I know the MiG-29 is kind of too much, but I think it should be in game. It probably... The thing is, I am more of a fan of the MiG-25 coming up sooner than that, but I understand the MiG-29 coming just because it is a more... I mean, it's an aircraft that it's easier to balance it out, okay? The MiG-25, if it was to be added, it would be so bad or so good that it would be kind of hard to balance. But I think it would be in the middle, you know? For some people, we would probably be trash, and for some people, we would be amazing, depending on how you like to play the game and stuff like that. But the MiG-29 is a little bit easier just to add more stuff against it, to be the counter to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about first how we would basically behave against the aircraft that we are already flying right now, and then some of the counters that need to be added at the same time as the MiG-29, I think, to be balanced, So first of all, let's talk about in-game right now. So okay, it would obviously be at least 11.3. We don't know if they are going to add another BR up there, 11.7 or something like that. But to be honest, think about it. Probably not, right? It probably will be at least at first 11.3 normally, Sometimes they add a new BR like that, but it's not common, The most likely option is to be the same BR as the MLD, as the other 11.3s, With that, we have kind of... It depends on the nation, Talking about, as I said, the existing aircraft in the game already, we can kind of have a list of aircraft that will be able to face it. Remember, the MiG-29 is amazing in a dogfight. It will destroy basically every single aircraft in a dogfight. It has an energy retention and a thrust weight that it's just amazing. Remember, at full gross weight, the thrust weight is around 1.09 with missiles, something like that. And without missiles, it's even like 1.20, I think, or 2.1. So it's just amazing. Remember, the Mirage has 0.7 of a thrust weight in those same kind of situations, So yeah, it's going to be amazing on a dogfight. Which brings you, obviously, to the BVR question as well. Would it be a very good BVR aircraft? Yes, of course. The Raider and the MiG-29 in general has a very bad reputation in BVR, but that's more due to the way that the Luftwaffe ones were actually tested against 1990s NATO aircraft. Remember, the Luftwaffe or even the DDRs, the Germans received the MiG-29 in 1990. It was already, 1989. It was the last year of the separation, of the Germans. So yeah, it was very late. The aircraft was already that version was at least like 7 to 8 years old from the testings and stuff. So it was a very, very... Not a very old aircraft, but it was not the top of the line, especially because it was an export variant. It was not the 913 with ECM and other stuff. So just remember that, The Raider was amazing, but not against 1990s aircraft, okay? So that's why it kind of has a weird, BVR kind of way to deal with things, you know, against these 90s aircraft. That's why a lot of NATO pilots always said that the MiG-29 is an amazing dogfighter, but not so amazing BVR weapon. But if we put it in the same era of the aircraft that had it in the real life, you know, which is the same aircraft that we have right now, and probably a little bit more if it was to be added, like the Kai, like the F-14, stuff like that, it is fine, you know. It's going to be able to lock people from 80 kilometers basically, a little bit less than that depending on the version, but yeah, around 100 kilometers of detection, so it's fairly enough, you know. And you have a 60 kilometer 30G missile, which is the R-27 as well, so it's going to be amazing in BVR, it's going to be amazing in dogfights, it's going to be the best aircraft in the game probably. And yeah, I think against the aircraft that we have right now, I think the F-14 would be only one of the only ones that can beat in a BVR engagement. In a dogfight, probably it will have a chance, but not for long, I think. Maybe initially or something like that, if the energy management is perfect in the F-14A. Because remember, the F-14A doesn't have the most powerful engines ever, so yeah, there's that. Against the MLA, maybe even the MLD, it's going to be better than them in every single way, you know. Against the UK aircraft, I mean, and don't even have to say against the GR7, I mean, it's going to stomp. Against F4M, F4K, it's going to stomp. Against the EJ Kai, I mean, in the BVR, it will be similar to some extent, but just in the range of the missile, because everything else, the MiG-29 will be do better. Even the radar itself, it's about 30 to 40% less effective than the MiG-29's one in the EJ Kai. The J8, don't even have to talk about it. The F5, they all are going to be in a disadvantage. So it will introduce a power creep to all these aircraft. I think it will be better than every single one of them in a dogfight, and it will be very, very close in BVR, or better than all of them in the BVR department as well. Which makes you kind of wonder, it's kind of a big power creep. So I guess the only thing about these old aircraft, before even talking about new aircraft added for these nations, is to include new missiles. It's the only way, man. It's the only way. I imagine that the MiG-29 will come with the R-60M and the R-27, which are amazing missiles. And with that, I think that giving AIM-9Ls for a lot of aircraft, the Python 3s for the Kafir, you know, AIM-9Ls for the F4F, maybe even for the F-14, for the F4J, for the F4M, for the F4K, for DJ Kai, maybe the AAM-3 for DJ Kai, maybe in the future, not right now, maybe, I don't know. So many aircraft, I mean, I'm not gonna even talk about the F-104s and other aircraft that it will face, you know. It will stomp basically most of the aircraft, you know. So with that, I think we need a new counters, you know. We need new counters. Just missiles and stuff like that, all aspect missiles for all the aircraft that are top tier right now is not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. So yeah, they really have to think about it, because if they don't add it properly, it will be a very, very big power creep in the same sense that the MLD, or even worse, you know. I'm talking about the counters to it. I think there is one obvious one, you know, the F-16, obviously. I think this is the most adequate aircraft to deal with the MiG-29, but I mean, it depends on the variant, because as you know, early variants have a very lackluster radar, and it's not that effective against a MiG-29, especially because the earlier ones don't even have BVR. So they must add like a Block 15, something like that, with the ADF and packages and stuff like that, to be able to carry 2 Sparrows, to be able to carry the 4A9s and be fine with it. I still think that the MiG-29 in the dogfight against these F-16As, it will destroy them most of the time. It depends very much on the pilot, right? But in general, the F-16 is a slightly inferior aircraft than the MiG-29, especially these earlier variants, you know. So, and especially because after the Soviet Union collapsed, we kind of don't have a proper MiG-29 until like the SMT, until the K, until the MiG-35, which made the F-16C have a very, very good name to its name, you know. You know, it's a very famous aircraft to being very good, you know. So in these early 80s kind of situations, I think the MiG-29 is still more advanced, but remember, the F-16, it is a glorified F-5, you know. So it's going to be annoying, man. Even for a MiG-29, it's going to be a tough aircraft to beat. You will have to think about what you're doing, and yeah. I still think that some other aircraft should be able to be more comparable, but they are very limited in certain areas, you know, because there's not a lot of countries that would use them. So, for example, the F-15A, or at least an earlier variant of the F-15, or maybe even late 70s F-15A or early F-15C from the early 80s, it would be the same technology that we see in the MiG-29, you know. Of course, the F-15 would be more comparable and even surpass in certain situations like radar range and the ability to carry more missiles than the MiG-29, you know. It carries 4 Sparrows, you know. But even with that, the dogfighting capabilities of the MiG-29 would probably balance it out. The missiles as well can be used for balancing. If they don't want to, they don't have to add the AIM-7M. If the F-15C with the AIM-7F would be too OP. They can only use the AIM-7F, you know, or maybe, you know, AIM-7M, AIM-9M maybe in the future, and then the R-73, right? So there's many possibilities here that we can see, and I just think that it needs a counter. The Tornado needs to come as well. It will have its problems, but if they added the Skyflash Super Temp 6000, it would be very similar in performance as the AIM-7M. So yeah, with the radar and stuff, it will completely be destroyed in a dogfight against the MiG-29 or an F-16. But it's a fast aircraft that has a very good radar. The range on the radar is like 150 kilometers or something like that. So it's a superior radar to the F-15, S-16, and the MiG-29, and even the Su-27. But of course, the ADV is a late 80s aircraft anyway, so yeah, it's problematic. I think it's a very, very good addition to the game. We need the MiG-29 at some point, right? Not that we need it, but it will be added anyway, you know, at some point. But they really need to consider adding a counter to it and not add it like the F-14 was added or the MLD was added back in the day. Because that just brings unbalance. At least 2 aircraft, man. If the MiG-29 is coming, F-16. If the F-16 is coming, MiG-29. That would help a lot. Especially because the F-16 would have the most amount of countries being served for a 4th generation aircraft. With the MiG-29, you will have 2. With the Tornado ADV, you have 2 as well. So the MiG-29 is the Germans and the Soviets. The Tornado ADV is the UK and Italy. And the F-16, it's a lot of countries. It's the US, it's the Israeli, the Chinese, the Italian. This is already 4. Maybe they will add for the Swedish as the Danish or Norwegian aircraft, you know, in the future. And even Japan can get the F2 in the far future. It's too advanced for now, but it can get the F2. The F-16, I mean, the F-15 could be added as well, the F-15J, you know. It is a little bit more advanced than the A's because it's technically a C, right? So that can be added as well, you know, with earlier missiles, maybe if it's too OP for the early MiG-29s. And they can just test it out a little bit, you know. But it needs to be a counter. It needs to have a counter. We kind of have a confirmation that the MiG-29 is coming. And hopefully it doesn't come alone. Hopefully it gets... I mean, in my opinion, I think we should get the F-16 together. Just because it serves at least 4 nations at start. Then we would have 6 nations with 4th generation aircraft. Plus the French. So, yeah. Pretty cool, right? So, anyway... this was it, guys, for the video. Let me know in the comments if you think that the MiG-29 is going to be OP. If If any of my ideas are weird or dumb, let me know in the comments, and I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, be a member, be a patron. Bye guys, see you.